If I stay here, I get hair. If I come under the light, I get... What's up, everyone? Canal D-MAYSTER with another video for you. How are you all doing? I hope you're all wonderfully well. Damn light. This is the SBS, where all your questions become canonical. Yes, we make a reality alteration here, so that everything becomes canonical. A question appeared here. Any author will look at it and say, I'll put it in my story. Sometimes the person has a mental block, can't develop the story. What do? I'll go look at the SBS, because there's good stuff there. Only high-caliber questions come, yes. Do you want to send your question to appear here, and also in the next favorite series? Just click the link and leave your question. Done. Message delivered. Let's clear up all these doubtful doubts. Michael Max. Salve Vandra. Could Chakabu be Calypso from Pirates of the Caribbean? Look, although your question is really curious, because we're bringing another series here, which Oda can take some references from. Pirates of the Caribbean has many references that fit very well into the world of One Piece. Who doesn't remember the scene of the ship having to sail upside down? You invert the seas, it becomes an upside-down world. Do you remember that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean? So Calypso fits the theme. I don't know how much research they had to do in Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe, you can put it in the comments. But how much did they delve into legends and myths to make the movie? Because there are many things you say, man, this would fit very well in One Piece. If there is a real basis for the various things done in the movie, Oda may have been inspired to compose his own as well. Some fantasy book, right? Sometimes there's a story that already brings the concept used in Pirates of the Caribbean. They expanded it. And Oda, well, it could be something like, yes, it could be, okay? It could be something very close, especially since, remember that Shanks, right in Chapter 1, says that the devil fruits are remnants of the sea devil. Mu could indeed have a connection with the sea itself, which I find very interesting. He is called the creator of the world. Vegapunk says that the sea is the apex of Mother Nature for the world of One Piece. So having a connection with the sea itself is cool. The fact that users can't swim might be because the power is not natural and is a kind of curse. And curses actually exist in the world of One Piece. There's a curse that's very little talked about, which I find very curious, but which we usually end up forgetting. It's normal. Do you know which one? The curse of Van Decken and his ship, the Flying Dutchman. It is said that Van Decken's ancestor, who must date back more or less to the Void Century, was cursed by the Sea Devil. Interesting, right? That's pretty cool. So it's a forgotten and existing curse, and it might really have something to do with the sea-hating devil fruit users. The curse may indeed be real. It doesn't necessarily have to be a scientific explanation for why users sink. It could be something related to this mysticism. After all, man, a shotgun that would make Ben Beckman proud came out of a book. So there could be a kind of ancient primordial power of the devil fruits, which people captured, put inside the fruits, but the Sea Devil didn't like this technological way and cursed them with real power. Mateus. Rewatching. First, he called it Vandro hair, so I'm only reading it because he called it Vandro hair. Obviously, right? I'm hairy now. He said there, rest, in the One Piece opening. At the moment when Jinbei's Seraphim appears, it's inverted on the screen in a very peculiar way, and now also a little more familiar because of the manga. Could it be a foreshadowing? Everything in this opening, down to the smallest details. He's referring to the scene, really, where the little Seraphim is tilted, just like we see happening with the Giants now. Could it be a hint? Is it possible to do that with the Seraphim? Wow, that would be very strong, huh? If you can invert the Seraphim, who defeats the Seraphim now? There's no way, right? There's no way. They're really tough. Imagine with the power of a god that is empowered, already makes them immortal. Or is it a foreshadowing for Jinbei temporarily becoming a demon? That's curious. I think it could be, okay? I believe that currently, One Piece openings, especially after Wano, have some foreshadowings, some small spoilers of what will happen in the manga. It has already happened, and you can get a lot of things and analyze from these openings. This scene is very curious, okay? Although it's him falling, as if he were using the fruit, which is the swim fruit, fine. But, really, it's very peculiar, right? He turns very similar to the reverse form of S-Mama. Now I'm curious, huh? Could a Lunarian Seraphim with inverted power? Oh my goodness. Then there's no way. Who defeats a monster like that? If he can put the Seraphim in reverse mode, it's over. Then there's no gear, nothing. No Zoro. Forget Zoro. ZKS, it's gone. ZKS is over then. What's ZKS? Zoro kills Seraphim. There won't be ZKS anytime soon. Lucônico. Do you think it's possible that there's a relationship between Imu's power, the reverse domain, and Whitebeard's famous phrase, the world will be turned upside down? I think it's very plausible that the world of One Piece is, in fact, a kind of hell, or an inverted world. Something that has been corrupted and distorted, and that does not represent the true world. This connects with the idea of reversal in the game. There are several clues scattered around. I think so, because you mentioned Whitebeard, but remember it was Roger who said that for the first time. And in One Piece, nothing is by chance, okay? So I believe so. Especially since I watched Fire Force and loved it. I told you to watch Fire Force, okay? Because there might indeed be some kind of connection. The world of One Piece might actually be hell itself, and we don't know it. Imagine the plot of arriving and saying, no, the true world was all inverted, and what we're seeing now is a kind of hell. That's why people don't reincarnate, don't enter the cycle of samsara, and sometimes end up trapped in devil fruits. Or have to go back to the trees, the Zandian trees there. Remember they caused disease that Nolan cut down? Could it be that the souls that entered the tree were not merely transported to the real world to be able to reincarnate? I like that idea, okay? Of having some kind of world inversion, because it would catch everyone by surprise. We're talking here about lowering the sea level, reconfiguring the poles, removing the red line. But what if the true world is somewhere else? I like this because it ends up giving a purpose to Luffy's journey's end. To have a new exploration for the world. Because what will Luffy do at the end of the series, after he's freer, after he's already traveled the whole world? What's left? Space? These new worlds? I think it's cool. But I also think it's a very similar ending to a series One Love Toriko, right? Anyone who has read Toriko knows that the ending is fantastic. One of the few manga, by the way, that has a good ending. I particularly love it. But man, it's very similar, okay? Toriko's ending is basically that. Man, Toriko is so good. Have you read it? The anime is nice, but go for the manga, okay? It's a food hunter x hunter. It's so good. It even has the Dark Continent, okay? The gourmet world there. And I love Toriko because of the scale of things the author uses. He made this here. I'll put it on the screen for you. This is just a labyrinth he made that the characters have to go through. That's right. They go there to get a whale, they have to go through this labyrinth. So the scale of Toriko is surreal. Basically, they manage to conquer all the food in the world. And after that, they discover new worlds that have more food and continue the journey. Luffy needs a purpose for the end. Otherwise, what will happen to Luffy? He'll become Naruto, man. Naruto and Boruto. I want to be Hokage. I want to be Hokage. Then he gets to Boruto, the sad guy, working there. Alright, adult life is like that, right? But man, give some happiness to the guy who's realizing his dream. It became boring. What a boring dad. Luffy will become that too if he doesn't have a purpose. He has to continue his adventures. It's new, man. Most pirates there, in their prime, at 40 years old, sailing the seas. Luffy, at 19, has already lost his purpose? So if the world turns, if there's a new world for Luffy to continue his journeys of exploration, of sailing and discovering, cool, I like it.
Gustavo Alves.
Are you following Dom? That's cool. Why don't you guys follow Dom, man? I don't see anyone from the channel there. No one. Only the people who follow Dom. What kind of nonsense is that, man? You've got to be kidding. At least one, right? Thank you, Gustavo. Sending a special shout out to you because you follow Dom. The rest of the guys don't go. They don't show up. Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Alright, follow Dom. And I think Guto is like Usopp. His lies become reality. People said he's also getting whiter, losing melanin. So yes, he looks like Usopp. Guto is Usopp post-time skip. The guy even said he's taking a supplement now. Said it's happening. Guto is post-skip Usopp, a liar and without melanin. He saw a theory that Kid might be Vegapunk's 7th satellite, which I think, as dumb as he is, he's a character very linked to Punk, with moves named related to that name. And the scene of the legendary red-haired Kamosari, and that constructor he made, looks like a symbol with 7. Could Kid be one? No, man. He can't. Despite the connection to Punk, it doesn't hold up. Kid's Punk is much more linked to the movement, to rock and roll, right? So much so that his move names are named there. Sex Pistols, right? Pretty punk rock stuff. Vegapunk is more linked to a star, and that's why he even has satellites, okay? Vegapunk is the name of a star. Alright, there's the number 7. Could Kid be? He can't either. You have Kid. Oda drew him small. Oda gave Kid and Killer a backstory when they were kids. The satellites were only made after Punk Hazard. Punk Hazard fell, what? About 4 years ago? And they were already made that size. Already. They didn't have a childhood. They didn't grow up. Kid had a childhood. He had the whole childhood of his ship. They had a crush on a woman, which was even what gave the name to Victoria, the name of their ship. So there's no connection to Vegapunk, okay? Because Oda gave Kid a backstory, and the satellites were only created, as far as we know, in Egghead, which happened years later, when Punk Hazard was destroyed.
Hi Campus.
He heard about Angel's Egg on Dom's show. Wow, I just talked about that. That's great, man. Seriously, you follow Dom too? That's awesome. And you even heard him talking about one of the best animes ever made. Very cool. It made me think about Noah's Ark from One Piece. Could it have been created by Joy Boy to save his allies and the population in defense of the rising sea levels caused by the 20 Kingdoms Alliance using Uranus? Similarly, does Zunesha only have that form so the minks can be safe from the floods?
A shout-out from Lagedão, Bahia.
By the way, that's where Oda got the inspiration for Roger's attack, right?
Kamuzari, Kamassari.
Oda is really from Bahia. Look, have you watched Angel's Egg? Do you like Dark Souls? Did you play the Ring City DLC? When you get to Filianor and she's holding the egg, you touch it, and bam, you go to the future, which is just dust, everything in ruins. Man, Filianor and the egg are inspired by that anime. So really good. It's by the same author as Ghost in the Shell, okay? Watch it. It's a visual experience. You'll watch it and not understand anything. No problem. The important thing is to have Angel's Egg on your list that you've watched. It's on YouTube, complete. It's an anime of about 70 minutes if I'm not mistaken. But it's beautiful. The art by Yoshitaka Amano, who is the artist for Final Fantasy, is surreal. Very good. I have an entire script for this movie because I've already told you, I really like between the lines stuff, right? I like to understand why the author put that in. Not necessarily that it's a true explanation, but I like to try to find an interpretation for it that at least pleases me. I'm curious about some things. And when I pick up these animes that I don't understand anything about, I start an incessant search for answers. And Angel's Egg is one of those animes. I have an amazing, phenomenal script like that to release at some point. I'm gonna release it, okay? I want to start a segment on this, about looking for hidden meanings. What's the explanation for the story? What does it mean? What's the ending? That's my recommendation. I spent about 7 minutes here recommending this to you, but you'll like it, okay? There must be only about 8 minutes of dialogue in the movie. The rest is just a wonderful visual experience. It's worth watching.
Cauê Santos.
Do you think Teach, Blackbeard, might have conjoined twin brothers with faces on their backs? Look, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the first theories that tried to explain how Blackbeard had 2 devil fruits, right? It's a theory that brought in the concept of an urban legend about a man named Edward Mordrake, who also had a face on the back of his neck. They tried to suggest that, possibly, Blackbeard had hidden another face in his long hair, his twin brother. And it's interesting because you have the chimera part in the DNA, right? Which would perhaps allow him to possess 2 fruits, or more. How would the third one fit? Are there 3? Could there be 2 faces? Yes, why not? But it's one of the first theories. Was it refuted? No, it's just that others emerged, and this one ended up being forgotten, you see. But you can look it up and you'll find some very interesting things about Edward Mordrake. And it's a theory that's still valid. It could indeed be that he has another twin there. Can they switch faces? Or does their personality change depending on the time of day? Is that why Blackbeard never sleeps? When one is sleeping in the bag, does the other take over? That's an interesting theory. It's very interesting. It would be terrifying as hell, by the way, Blackbeard revealing himself as a Trinity head. The Trinity of Darkness, the final villain of the One Piece world. And that's it. Many questions answered. I hope you liked it, okay? If you made it this far, hey, a special shout out to you. See you next time, my friends. Thanks for watching. I'm out.